The Buck's got your back.
The victim was standing 3 feet from the side of the BMW, correct?
Within an ellipse, yes.
He collides with the vehicle at the same time that he's striking the pedestrian.
By around 100 feet, Mr. Ackerman would be able to start detecting that there was a pedestrian ahead of him.
He steered left of center, about 2.5 feet into the wrong side of the road to be able to engage the BMW.
Post-collision's speed was 28 to 33 miles an hour.
Would a person have sufficient opportunity to avoid impact?
I think it's likely that most people would have little to no opportunity to begin to try to avoid.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. Our Court TV cameras are covering the biggest cases across the nation. New details in another investigation into Sean Diddy Combs. What the family of the murdered rapper Tupac Shakur is doing as they look into Combs' possible connection to Shakur's murder. And in Connecticut, the suspect in the axe murder of a mother could be taking a plea deal. Police say Ewan DeWitt killed his ex-girlfriend with an axe in front of their 3-year-old son. And in South Carolina, a huge moment in the jealous husband murder trial as the defendant takes the stand in his own defense. William Bud Ackerman is testifying in his own defense right now. He's facing murder charges for allegedly hitting and killing his estranged wife's boyfriend with his pickup truck. Well, the defense claims that Ackerman accidentally hit Kenneth Davis McClendon, while the prosecution contends it was intentional. And they're doing a pretty good job of showing it here on cross-examination. Let's go back into court now where Ackerman is still on cross-examination.
Your headlights were on, correct? Coming out of Avid.
I'm sorry.
Your headlights were on.
That's correct.
And were they high beams or low beams? Or you
I'm
don't
not
remember?
sure.
You're not sure. But you could see down the road, couldn't you?
I could see to the headlights of this vehicle.
Okay. And you could see the reflection of the gate in the back?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
That's correct.
You could see the lights?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure if you see the street light?
I'm not sure.
Okay. How many times had you been down there before?
Maybe a handful of times.
You lived in that neighborhood, right?
Yes, sir.
You knew you were meeting him there?
That's correct.
Okay. To talk?
To talk.
Okay. Play it again. Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Those are your words, right?
Yeah, I can't make out what it's
Go
saying.
back one more time. Before you start, that's you screaming.
That's correct.
Okay. Would you dispute that's an angry tone?
I would dispute that's in an upset tone, you know, kind of a hysteria.
Hysteria.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, he's asking, did you hear that, or did you say that? And he can give a response, yes or no, deny it, whatever. Admit it.
I don't.
Do you remember saying that?
I
No,
don't.
there's no testimony in the record that's what was said. The latter part of that comment.
Your Honor, it's in evidence, and I think I can ask him if he's...
Sure. It's in evidence, and it's up to the jury to make the final decision on what was said, if anything.
He was there to talk, wasn't he?
That's correct.
You were there to talk.
That's correct.
And do you remember?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
That's correct.
So you could have said that.
I could have.
I still have to object to him formulating what was said. There's no expert testimony about it. They could have done that.
Well, I think the question was, Mr. Meadows, could you have said that? And I think Mr. Ackerman said he could have. So,
Thank you. You didn't say how are you, did you? Did you?
No, sir.
You didn't say are you okay, did you?
No, I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
You didn't say I didn't see you, did you?
No, I was,
And then you left. Right?
yes, sir.
And then you didn't call 911. You heard the sirens. You were fixing to at 30-something minutes later, 40 minutes later, I'm not
Yes,
sure.
sir.
And then at 11:54 something, law enforcement showed up in your driveway.
That's not accurate.
Yes, it did.
11:54?
Excuse me. Thank you. 1:54. I apologize. Thank you.
154.
At 1:54, law enforcement showed up in your driveway.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the time.
I'm pretty sure that's right, but the record, it's in the record. So 1:11 is when you hit Davis McClendon, right?
Yes, sir.
21, 31, 41, 51, 43 minutes later, law enforcement showed up in your driveway, right?
That's correct.
And between 1:11 to 1:43, didn't call 911,
I did not.
didn't call a doctor,
I did not.
told a doctor, your mom and dad, what happened,
That's
right?
correct.
And from 1:11 to 1:43, never told any of this between that time period, did you? Never told anybody of this between 1:11 and 1:54, did you?
Told anybody what?
What this didn't happen. You never told them about all this.
Told my parents.
And nobody called the hospital. I mean, from 1:11, and I'm about through, from 1:11:34, you don't know if Davis is dead, do you?
He wasn't breathing when I left.
Okay. But you or anybody you told, y'all didn't reach out to get anybody to go down there and see if you could save his life, if he had been alive.
The ambulance was already on the way.
Bad court, Dorchester Judge. I'm sorry, I'm almost. Sorry, Judge, I'm
Sure,
almost
it's
through.
fine.
I'm
It's
sorry.
fine.
And your final divorce hearing was 4 weeks after this, wasn't it?
I'm not sure of the exact date.
Are you upset Davis is dead?
I am.
All right, that wraps up the cross. We'll have the redirect in just a minute, but first I want to bring in my guests to get their impressions. With us, criminal defense attorney Robin Nunn and trial attorney Kelly Hyman as well. Kelly, great to see you again. Robin, thanks for sticking around. And Robin, I'll start with you. I want to get your impressions of what just happened. You know, in cases like this, you got to take smoking guns where you can get them. I think that tape was as close to a smoking gun as you're going to get.
Yeah, he admitted he didn't know that the Ring camera was recording all of his actions that evening and what he did exactly after the victim was hit. I think that that was kind of a aha moment, as you would call it, because it did show the exact time lapse between the accident and him actually calling and trying to, get help.
Yeah, Kelly Hyman, I mean, the words that he uses when we're talking about the big issue here is intent. And they brought out the fact that he was going 35 miles an hour. He admitted seeing the car, and rather than slow down to see what's going on, he maintained his speed, changed lanes into the wrong lane. He hits him, then he gets out and yells this at the guy. What do you make of it?
Why would he testify?
I don't know.
Attorney can advise their client and say whether you're going to testify or not. Ultimately, it's his decision, but an attorney most likely advises him, look, this ring camera is coming in. This is very damaging testimony. You should not take the witness stand and do this. This could make a difference between the case, and I believe it definitely is going to have an impact on the jury.
Yeah, I believe so, too. All right, let's see what that defense attorney tries to do on redirect examination. He's got to rehabilitate his guy. Let's get back in for more.
Bud, was there a final divorce hearing in your case several weeks after that?
There was.
Okay. And the grounds for the divorce were 1 year legal separation?
That's correct.
All right, I just want to go back over a couple of things. You don't dispute the phone records in this case. You've answered every question that Mr. Menendez asked you about the phone records, correct?
That's correct.
And you don't dispute, or do you dispute any of the technical records that have been put in by the state or the defense as far as timing and what happened and what was going on?
I don't.
Okay. And did you answer those to the best of your knowledge?
I did.
Okay. Now, do you know the times of all these different events?
I have no idea.
Okay. And do you know what's actually, at that time, did you know what was being actually recorded on the systems in the car?
Not actually everything, but I knew it recorded a lot.
You knew it recorded, but I'm talking about at the time, did you know what was being recorded at that time?
No, sir.
Okay. That was something that was provided in the discovery in the case,
That's correct.
Okay. The phone records were provided in discovery, correct?
That's correct.
And you don't dispute those?
I don't.
And we have phone records. Do we have phone records from you?
That's correct.
Do
Yes,
we
sir.
have phone records from Meredith Haney?
As far as I know, yes.
Do we have phone records for Davis McClendon?
Yes, sir.
And you're not disputing the phone calls that were made that are indicated on those phone records?
No, sir.
Mr. Meadows asked you about those,
That's
correct?
correct.
On that day, on May 6th, I believe you had testified on direct examination that Meredith, other than the text that you sent her with the pictures of the kids from Abbeville, was not responding to your phone calls. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And as a result of that, is that why you called her several times, number of times?
That's correct.
And your purpose in trying to call her?
Was just to talk to her.
Okay. Even at May 7th, knowing that there was a final hearing scheduled maybe in another month or whatever it was.
Nature of the objection.
Form of the question, testifying and leaving.
Okay.
Right.
Rephrase.
Okay. Was there a final hearing scheduled in the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at the time on May 6th or May 7th, did you still love your wife?
I did.
Were you dating?
I was not.
Were you upset that she was dating?
I was.
Emotionally upset?
Emotionally.
Were you going to do anything about it?
No, sir.
When you were talking to Davis McClendon, what was your purpose in the meeting?
Talk.
What did you get from some of the phone calls or part of the conversation to what his purpose was?
To fight.
But again, your purpose was what?
To talk.
And at some point during those conversations, did he calm down?
He did.
Is that why you went to meet him?
That's correct.
Did you want to meet him at your parents' house?
That's correct.
Certainly, would you have done anything unlawful?
Objection to leading.
Would you?
What, if anything, would you have done at your parents' house to hurt Davis McClendon at your parents' house?
Nothing.
Speculation. We have no idea.
What would he have done?
Okay. I'm going to allow it. Go ahead.
Nothing.
That's where you were supposed to be.
That's correct.
The communications that Mr. Meadows asked you about, do you deny that, I guess it was communication, you had some text messages with a friend, and I'm just laying the groundwork. Do you deny that you said something to the... Did you feel that way at that time?
I did. I felt
Why?
that way because of what he was doing behind my back with my wife.
Did you think that was wrong?
I did.
Did you say at some point, I think Mr. Meadows asked you something. Did you make that statement?
I did.
At the time you made the statement, did you believe that?
Yes, that's the way I felt.
Well, I'm sorry?
That's the way I felt.
All right, so the words and the actions don't, for me, quite line up. I don't know what this jury's thinking, but which one would you believe? The way he was acting or the words he's saying now in court? All right, we do have to take a quick break, folks, but before we go to that break, more trouble could be brewing for disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Court TV has confirmed that the family of murdered rapper Tupac Shakur has hired investigators to look into a potential link between Tupac's death and Combs. Now, there have been previous reports of an investigation into the matter from unnamed sources, but earlier today, Shakur family attorney Alex Spiro confirmed that he and a team of investigators have been hired and intend to get to the truth. Sean Combs allegedly had business dealings with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who will go on trial next March for the murder of Tupac back in 1996. Prosecutors say Davis once claimed in a 2009 statement to police that Diddy offered him $1 million to kill Tupac. Well, police eventually dismissed those claims. Now, Davis has pleaded not guilty to Tupac's murder and remains in jail since his September 2023 arrest, awaiting trial. And of course, we will keep you updated on all things Diddy and Tupac as information becomes available. All right, time now for that break. When we come back, we're going to get you back to the final part of the defendant's testimony in the jealous husband murder trial. Keep it right here on your front row seat to justice.
Court TV fans, you demanded it.
Here we go, do it.
So now you're getting more true crime at nighttime.
Oh my God, oh my God.
48 hours on Court TV. Tonight, 7/6 Central on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a music mogul now faces federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. We have the very latest in the case against Sean Diddy Combs.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. But don't worry, we've got a lot more than that going for us. Woo! Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have flip phones like the Iris Flip. If you're someone that doesn't need all that mumbo-jumbo and just wants something simple. And now, we even have watches.
We do.
No matter what device you choose, you'll be happy to know that if your data needs change,
No problem.
with our SmartFlex feature, you don't have to sweat it. Like say you're on a road trip out west and end up using a bunch of data. We can simply flex you up to the next data tier for as little as $5. Then, when you get home, you can flex right back down with no penalty. So you only pay for what you actually need.
With Consumer Cellular, you get the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost.
I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Will our award-winning customer service help me switch over or add a line for $15 to make my own family plan?
Of course they will.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
You see that tower out there? It's a beauty. And there are thousands more like it, working hard for me and you, supplying 5G coverage to this beautiful nation of ours. We know how important coverage is. That's why we offer a risk-free guarantee. If you're not satisfied within 30 days of activation, you can pay nothing. Oh, look.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today.
Call 1-800-918-5644.
Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
Who's coming in the driveway?
My daughter is being treated for leukemia. I hope that she lives a long, great, happy life and that she will never forget how Mom and Daddy love her. St. Jude, I mean, this is what's keeping my baby girl alive.
You can join the battle to save lives by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. For just $19 a month, you'll help us continue the life-saving research and treatment these kids need now and in the future.
Cancer makes me feel angry, like not in the, feel on the outside, just the inside I'm angry at it.
When your kid is hurting and there's nothing you can do about it, that's the worst feeling in the world.
1 in 5 children diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. will not survive.
Those that donate to St. Jude, and I hope that you will continue to give. They have done so much for me and my family.
Join with your debit or credit card now, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt that you can proudly wear.
Están salvando vidas. Y la vida de mi hija es una de ellas.
Are you ready to go have some fun?
When we came here, we didn't know what tomorrow would hold. St. Jude showed us that tomorrow there's hope for our little girl to survive.
Let's cure childhood cancer together. Please donate now.
All right, folks, let's get you back inside that South Carolina courtroom where the defendant is still on the stand, but Ackerman continues his testimony. Now he's on redirect in the jealous husband murder trial.
Yep.
Mr. Menendez asked you about, were you on the phone with Davis McClendon when you were going down Abbey Road? Do you remember that?
I can't recall.
Okay. Based on the evidence in this case, at the time of impact, when the car was hit and Mr. McClendon was hit, where was his phone?
In his vehicle?
And there's a picture of that in evidence, is that right?
That's correct.
Have you denied any of the locations that Mr. Menendez asked you about that you went to?
I have not.
Have you pretty much agreed during your cross-examination with all the places that he suggested you may have traveled to?
That's correct.
And your purpose?
Just to find Meredith.
When was the first time that you realized that they were out together?
When Davis called me.
That was that first phone call where you had a conversation?
That's correct.
So your plan was to meet him at your parents' house?
That's correct.
To have this discussion?
That's correct.
And who changed it?
He did.
And where did he say to meet you?
At the Avon Sawgrass location.
And did you call him back and tell him you were not going to meet him there?
That's correct.
And is that the conversation that you had described on your direct examination about what he said to you?
That's correct.
Did he calm down during that conversation?
He did.
And is that the reason that you went down there?
That's the reason I agreed to meet him.
When you were going down Avid Road, at some point, did you go into the left lane?
I did.
Whatever, it wasn't marked, but what did you go into the left side of the road?
I did.
You knew the car was there.
That's correct.
Did you see him until the last second?
I did not.
What was your purpose in going into the left lane and approaching his vehicle?
To talk to him.
All right, and how were you going to do that?
To pull up beside his vehicle.
Did you know how fast you were going?
I did not.
Did you know how fast you were going until this trial?
I did not.
Mr. Menendez asked you why you didn't steer to the right. Why you went into the car. Why?
To stop the motion of the truck from moving forward.
Would you have hit his car? Okay. What, if anything, you would have done, what, if anything, did you do to avoid hitting him?
I hit his car.
Is there evidence of that in this case?
I believe so.
Did you intentionally hit him?
I did not.
Did you intentionally try to kill him?
I did not.
Afterwards, what was your emotional state when you realized that you had hit him and he was laying in the road or on the side of the road?
I was just panicked and in a state of shock, felt nauseous and sick. I didn't know what to do.
Do you remember yelling?
I do.
Do you remember admitting? Do you remember anything else that you said?
No, sir.
Why were you yelling?
Because I couldn't believe what just happened and how he got to that position and what all just transpired.
Are you sorry this happened?
I'm very sorry.
That's all.
Any recross, Mr. Menendez?
Very brief.
Sure.
You went to talk at 35 miles an hour, correct?
That's what it shows.
And you chose to leave your house and go meet him, didn't you?
Per our conversation.
But you chose to drive down there from 1714 O'Havyville, go down to Abbott Road. That was your choice.
Yes, per our conversation.
And you drove. Your hand, your foot drove your car down Abbott Road.
That's correct.
At 35 miles an hour.
That's correct.
And didn't stop, go less than that after you hit him, did you?
That's what it shows.
And you actually said on direct across, you swerved hard to avoid him, didn't you?
I did.
Swerved real hard.
I did.
So you'd have gone in that side of the vehicle and knocked it off the road. Should have gone that way, shouldn't it?
I can't tell you what should have happened.
And Mr. Swirling asked you about the records and all. You don't dispute them. I want to be clear. Brandon Smith, who we brought out earlier, and there's going to be a reply witness. That's not the mayor of Greenwood, Brandon Smith.
That's correct.
It's another Brandon Smith.
It's my cousin.
That's your cousin. Okay. And he asked you about the phone calls. This happened at 1:11:34. And I think you said you were about to call 911, but you heard the sirens, correct?
That's correct.
Didn't call 911, didn't call the hospital. But you don't dispute you called Ed McCollum at 1:31, do you?
No,
Yes,
sir.
Your Honor, that's not redirect. I didn't recross. I didn't bring that. I didn't go into that on redirect.
I agree.
Your Honor, he said all the records that he agreed to. Do you agree you called him?
Are you going to leave it at that?
Oh, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Give an answer, Mr. Hackman.
Yes.
That was 20 minutes after this, right?
That's what it shows.
Of course it's on.
Sure.
All right, let's bring back in our guest trial attorneys, Robin Nunn and Kelly Hyman. Kelly, I'll start with you. All right, that was it. That was the end of his testimony for this trial. Where do we stand as far as you're concerned with this idea of intentionality for this act?
Based on the fact that he took the witness stand, and at first when he was doing the direct, it seemed really good. It was going really well. But on cross-examination, they started to see him cursing. It really started to show that there was intent, and I don't know if his attorney did enough to the jury to make a determination that he's not guilty. So it did some serious damage.
Yeah, Robin, it seemed to me that the defense attorney was really trying to convince this jury that he wanted this meeting, the defendant did, at his parents' house. And of course, if you have the meeting at your parents' house, you're not going to do anything awful there, right? But that's not where the meeting was. And easily, from driving from his parents' house to that place, he could have formed the intent.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the defense counsel was obviously trying to paint a picture that this was a reasonable individual who was bringing someone over to his mom and dad's house to have a very, calm conversation about this relationship and next steps. However, that obviously is not what transpired. And with the two individuals having had alcohol in their system, it seems highly unlikely that that's what was going to occur, even if they had met up at the parents' place. This seemed like a really volatile situation, one that should have never been planned.
Yeah, the agreement to meet, initial idea to meet was a bad one. And the wife setting it up and helping them set it up was a bad one as well. At the end of the day, the anger of the victim. Quickly, I got about 30 seconds. Does that play into this at all?
Absolutely. You want to know who was the person that started this and who's the person that ended this. So the anger is definitely going to play a role. But nothing good usually happens at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly, after a few drinks especially. All right, we'll take a break here. My understanding is that was the end for today. The jurors will be coming back tomorrow. Of course, there was a delay because of Hurricane Helene. They'll be coming back tomorrow for closing arguments. So we'll let you know what happens there. So keep it here on Court TV. Still to come, though. We're going to dive into what could be a major win in the Menendez brothers' fight for freedom. We're going to break down the announcement of a new investigation into evidence that could open the door for resentencing or a new trial. That's next here on Court TV.
What happens in Vegas stays. Well, not anymore. Play Quick Hit Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game that everyone is playing from coast to coast. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
Hi, my name is Damian Clark. And if you have both Medicare and Medicaid, I have some really encouraging news that you'll definitely want to hear. Depending on the plans available in your area, you may be eligible to get extra benefits with the Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. Most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items, like vitamins, pain relievers, first aid supplies, and more. The Healthy Options Allowance is loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend carries over from each month. You can pay nothing for covered prescriptions all year long, even name brand drugs. All plans have $0 copays for covered preventive dental services, which include 2 free cleanings a year, as well as fillings. They may also have vision coverage, including vision exams, and a yearly allowance towards eyewear, such as lenses or contacts. Even hearing coverage, which includes routine hearing exams and coverage towards hearing aids. You'll even have a $0 copay for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. Plus, your doctor, hospital, and pharmacy may already be part of our large Humana networks. So call the number on your screen now to speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. Wouldn't you love benefits like a monthly allowance? To help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call the number on your screen now and speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. If you're eligible, they can even help enroll you over the phone in a Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. And remember, annual enrollment ends on December 7th. So call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
after the hurricane happened. We just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
Talk is not cheap. With the Text Now app, the whole family gets free nationwide calls and texts. Free, like literally $0 a month. And when I need data, I can add a plan that works for me. Text Now is my new way to phone. Download now.
This is the story of the one. The one who believes being prepared is not just a way of life. It's how he helps everyone stay safe. He sweats the small stuff before it becomes big stuff. For the one, being an unsung hero in a building full of everyday heroes is just how he likes it. The industrial-grade products you need delivered fast. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We're taking a closer look now at breaking news that we first brought to you around this time yesterday. New eyes around the Menendez brothers' double murder case. An investigation into what the Los Angeles District Attorney is calling new evidence. It's been around for a minute, but relatively new. Could open doors for resentencing or perhaps a new trial for Eric and Lyle Menendez. Now, during a press conference yesterday, Los Angeles prosecutors announced that they will review evidence presented in a petition that includes a letter written by Eric Menendez to his cousin that his attorneys say corroborates the allegations that he was sexually abused by his father. The brothers emotionally described years of sexual abuse by their parents in their first trial. However, that first trial ended in a mistrial, and those sexual abuse claims were much, much more limited in the second trial. Now, the brothers' attorneys said the family believed from the beginning that they should have been charged with manslaughter rather than murder, but manslaughter was not an option for the jury during the second trial that ultimately led to the brothers' murder conviction in 1996. As a result, they were sentenced to life in prison. The brothers have asked a court to vacate their conviction. Now, prosecutors will determine whether they should be serving life sentences given this investigation into new evidence. Take a listen.
I'll walk you through a simple explanation of the legal issues here. There are two vehicles upon which people that have been convicted of a crime, well, there are many, but the two are a habeas, and the other one's a resentencing. They can ask for a review of their conviction. And their habeas, basically what someone that was convicted is asking a review of new evidence that had been made available. That had that evidence been available to the court and the jury at the time of the trial, perhaps the outcome may have been different. And then there's a second process, and it's called resentencing under California law, where a prosecutor can evaluate whether someone has been rehabilitated, and based on their actions and the fact that they're not involved in criminal activity inside of the prison, that their sentence could be reevaluated. In this case, again, the Menendez brothers are asking for a review through both of those vehicles. We have not decided on the outcome. We are reviewing the information, but I think it's also important that we recognize that both men and women can be the victims of sexual assault. We started a consent campaign to be timed with the red zone. And for those of you who are not familiar with the red zone, is when new kids are going into college, and for the first time they're away from home, and we know that there's an increase in sexual assaults during that period of time. Now, most of the victims are usually young women, but there are men also that are victimized. And in our consent campaign, we made it very clear that only a clear and desirable yes means yes, and anything else is not consent. And I spoke very clearly, especially to young men, because most of the time are young women that are the victims of sexual assault, that they also have an obligation to understand that consent has to be very clear. But we also recognize that sometimes men and boys are the victims of sexual assault. We're seeing now the allegations that in the case of Sean Combs, according to the civil lawyers, about a half of the victims, and they could be way over 100, were men. And we have seen over and over again when both young boys and young girls are molested. So today, what I want to make very clear, we have not conceded one way or the other. We're not saying that there was anything wrong with the original trial. We have been given evidence. We have been given a photocopy of a letter that allegedly was sent by one of the brothers to another family member talking about him being the victim of molestation. We've also got evidence that was provided by the defense, by his lawyers, that one of the members of the Menudo band alleged that he was molested by the father. None of this information has been confirmed. We are not, at this point, ready to say that we either believe or do not believe that information. But we're here to tell you that we have a moral and an ethical obligation to review what is being presented to us and make a determination based on the resentencing side, whether they deserve to be resentenced, even though they were clearly the murderers, because they have been in prison for 35 years and they have paid back their dues to society, or whether a habeas is appropriate if there was evidence that was not presented to the court at that time, and had that evidence been presented, perhaps a jury would have come to a different conclusion.
All right, a hearing has been scheduled for November 29th. All right, back with us, attorneys Robin Young and Kelly Hyman. And Robin, I'll start with you. I want to get your thoughts on this. And additionally, that press conference went on for a while. He did mention that as far as resentencing is concerned, he made sure to tell the press that over his 4 years in office, he's done 300 resentencing. Only 4 of those have reoffended, saying they have a tremendous record as far as that resentencing goes. They look at it in the interest of justice, saying this person has served a just sentence. I think he's setting the stage for that being a possibility, a very real possibility here.
I would agree. I think that he has made very clear some signals that his intent is obviously to review the information, and that in the past, when this has occurred, that it's had some, pretty good results. I mean, 4 out of 300 is a very minuscule percentage of the population that's ever had any problems after being released, and that's what you hope for.
It's really shocking, though. Actually, if you know anything about the criminal justice system, that you can let out 300 people under a resentencing program and only 4 reoffend. So I got to commend them on that for the choices that they ultimately made. Kelly, I want to get your thoughts on what's going on here. One of the things that has surprised me is this idea that this information has been around now for at least 12 months, at least, and they still haven't vetted it. I find that to be interesting, but your thoughts ultimately on whether this information, the letter, if it's, of course, vetted and found to be real, and the claims by the Menudo band member, if that's somewhat corroborated, if that's enough for perhaps a new trial.
Well, due process under the law. So everyone that goes to trial is allowed to have the due process under the law. And so in the second trial, they didn't allow this kind of information to come in. And if that information did come in, would they have been charged with a lesser crime as manslaughter? So I think that's really something important for the judge to consider and take that into consideration. And if that information is ultimately vetted and true, then most likely they will get out of jail.
They'll get out of jail, but I'll tell you what, if I was representing them, Robin, there's a difference between the habeas corpus and the resentencing. If you are resentenced, you are still a murderer. You've just been resentenced based on other circumstances, on the interests of justice. If you go habeas and you retry, it's possible they either are acquitted or found guilty of a lesser charge, let's say manslaughter. Very different going forward with your life. They're young enough where I think it matters Do you think that should be a consideration for the defense attorneys?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to throw everything they can at the wall to get them out, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's they were rehabilitated, whether they were improperly sentenced, whether there's any grounds, and I would do that. As a defense attorney, I would try and obviously help my client to get released, especially given the circumstances with the potential sexual assault and the, kind of situation that's involved here.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if they offered and said, look, we're willing to let them out. We're willing to say, okay, we'll resentence them, but they are in fact murderers quickly. Would you take that deal or say, you know what, I'm going to gamble on a habeas corpus?
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yes.
So, of course, you're going to talk to your client and advise them, and ultimately it's going to be their decision. But I would go with the bird in the hand.
Yeah, I think after 35 years in prison, both of those guys would say, you know what, just let us get out of here and get on with our lives. All right, we're going to take a break here. Coming up next, we do want to know what you think about the investigation into that new evidence in the Menendez brothers case. We're going to share your responses to our social media question right after this short break. Keep it here on Court TV.
Most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession, 48 Hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a music mogul now faces federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. We have the very latest in the case against Sean Diddy Combs.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Everyone knows Halloween is all about black, and Michaels has all the decor we need. What don't you get about black?
Hi, glad everyone's here. Let's get started.
When they want to squeeze up,
Let me share my screen. Okay, sorry about that. I'm excited to share the...
they want a squeeze up.
Deliciously delectable delectables.
Squeeze up! Stay ahead of your child's moderate to severe eczema. And they can show off clearer skin and less itch with Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists that helps heal your child's skin from within. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Ask your child's eczema specialist about Dupixent.
You know what I love about Quick Hit Slots? It's the mobile slots game that gives you those authentic Vegas thrills. Quick Hit Slots has all the games you know and love. And best of all, the jackpot. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
At Walden, I acquired invaluable clinical experience
and hands-on expertise,
which gave me the confidence
to bring about change in the lives of others.
Walden University, set a course for change.
Are you 50 or over? Let's take a ride and talk with some folks about the AARP Auto Insurance Program from the Hartford. So, pal, how'd it feel to turn 50?
Yeah, I feel great. My family threw me a party. We celebrated.
Well, I hope you celebrated by switching to the Hartford. Then you know that the Buck's got your back.
The Buck?
The Hartford Buck. With the Hartford, you get great savings and exclusive benefits.
Wow, is that for people over 50?
Yep.
That means me now.
That means you, man. That's why you're driving with me. AARP members 50 and over get rewarded with benefits like accident forgiveness, which means if you get in an accident, the Hartford has your back.
That sounds great.
And your deductible, James, decreases every year you're accident-free with disappearing deductible.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
I mean, my head just exploded. That's for me. Sign me up.
To get your free quote, call the Hartford today at 1-800-684-2719. You could save hundreds of dollars.
Then you kind of strike me as a smart shopper.
I think I am.
Yeah?
At least I try to be a smart shopper.
So you like to save?
Oh, gosh. Who doesn't like to save?
Well, switching to the Hartford can save you hundreds. AARP members who switched to the Hartford saved an average of $577.
That's quite a savings.
96% of customers recommend the Hartford to friends and family.
I think I'll do just the same.
I can count on it?
Oh, you can count on it.
Join the millions of drivers 50 and over who switched to the AARP Auto Insurance Program from the Hartford. Not an AARP member? The Hartford can help you join in minutes. To get your free no-obligation quote and see how much you could save, call the Hartford at 1-800-684-2719. 1-800-684-2719 or visit trusthartford.com. The Bucks got your back.
And we decided we weren't going to take that anymore. Unbelievable. Starting right now.
All right, that's the Netflix series Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. It's shining a new light on this decades-old murder case, and that is prompting the Los Angeles County District Attorney to look at the case with a new perspective. That's the topic for today's Talk Back segment, the Menendez brothers. Both brothers claim that their father sexually abused them, and that information was not allowed to be used in the retrial, at least not as extensively as it was in the first trial for both of these boys. A jury convicted both of them in 1996 for the murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. They were both sentenced to life in prison. Well, on Thursday, Los Angeles DA Gascon explains why he is reviewing the case.
We have a moral and an ethical obligation to review what is being presented to us and make a determination based on a resentencing side, whether they deserve to be resentenced, even though they were clearly the murderers, because they have been in prison for 35 years and they have paid back their dues to society, or whether habeas is appropriate if there was evidence that was not presented to the court at that time, and had that evidence been presented, perhaps a jury would have come to a different conclusion.
The Los Angeles County District Attorney says his office will review that evidence that was not permitted in the second trial of Lyle and Eric Menendez, which brings us to today's question on Court TV's social media pages. What do you think about the investigation into new evidence for the Menendez brothers? Still with us, criminal defense attorney Robin Nunn and trial attorney Kelly Hyman. All right, ladies, our first comment comes from Laura. Laura says, if there's proof that the father abused a victim, set these men free. Kelly, I mean, I get it, and that's kind of the sentiment that we're hearing a lot of, but just because the father abused them, does that necessarily mean that they're not murderers and they should be set free?
No, I mean, it could be that there's mitigating factors and maybe it was manslaughter or lesser crime, but really, if the evidence was available and the jury didn't get to hear it and how that affected their trial, that they could have been found a lesser charge, then that definitely plays a role.
Yeah, it does play a role. Our next comment comes from Sharon. Sharon says, they need to stay in prison. If what they said really happened, that is beyond horrible, but that's still no reason to kill your parents. Not when there's other things you could have done and people you could have talked to. I don't buy it. That's an interesting perspective, because that brings me to my next question, Robin. You heard the LA County District Attorney talk about this idea that we have sort of a new perspective on, you know, sexual abuse, the fact that young men and men in general can be victims of abuse. I think much different attitude back 20, 25 years ago. I think the same testimony from then, let's say it allowed in a new trial, will hit very differently today and would have even greater impact.
I agree with you, Michael. I think we are in a different society than we were decades ago. And now the idea of sexual abuse is something that I think people are more familiar with, more comfortable with. There's less of a stigma about, and it can obviously happen to any gender. And I think, as the district attorney rightly said, you know, women, men, children, this is something that's a real part of our society and something that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah, and we understand why they may not go to authorities. You see two strapping young men, they're both good athletes, good looking, all the money in the world. We can now understand with the science why they may not have spoken out and said anything to anyone. Our next comment comes from Sean. Sean says, if there is evidence of molestation, sounds like they have been wrongfully convicted and sound like a huge lawsuit settlement coming. Kelly, I don't know if it goes that far. Wrongfully convicted maybe as murderers. I think under the circumstances, it's fair to say, let's say a jury gets more information about the molestation, understands how they might have felt. but yet still felt they were wrong in their thoughts. They agree that, yes, we believe they feared for their life, but maybe weren't right about it under those circumstances. That's a manslaughter conviction. That's certainly not a 35-year crime, so they might be let out. But I don't know if it's a complete, it would lead to some sort of lawsuit.
Right, the punishment must omit the crime. So in this case, if in fact it is manslaughter, they've already done 35 years of their time, and so then ultimately they should be let out.
Right, because, I mean, what is the most manslaughter you can get? Maybe 25 years or something? In some states, I don't know the exact time in Los Angeles. All right, our next comment comes from Zach. Zach says, I watched the first trial. They are guilty. One brother had written the whole horror down before the event even happened. These boys had their Rolex watches, fancy cars, played country club tennis. Jury saw through the little boy sweater act. And that's interesting because I think that's absolutely the case the first time around. And we were talking about the change in public sentiment towards these guys. Back then, that's how most people felt about these guys. Had no problem if they would have been convicted in that first trial. We know it was a hung jury. But again, I think today, with our new attitudes and understandings for sexual abuse, I think the attitude might be different, and I think that might have something to do with the change in feelings towards the two brothers, which now I think they've garnered a lot of support.
I think that's right. I think back then this was a very high-profile case, and I think our attitudes developed around who these people were and their Beverly Hills lifestyle and their clothes and money and sort of the way they behaved. I think now, taking a step back after 30 years, I think people have had a chance to reflect that perhaps their parents were involved in some situations that would have been very, very difficult to sort of grow up dealing with and may have had some impact on their mental state and some of their behavior at that time. Not excusing it. We don't want in a society where people are obviously taking action like this, but it at least puts you a little bit into their intent and perhaps their mindset.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And finally, Ryan Murphy, who's the guy who created Monsters on Netflix, you know, he's coming to fire by the brothers, but he's saying now they need to give me flowers. They should be happy that I did this because look what it's led to. They might just get out. I agree with them.
The court of public opinion, right? Without seeing this Netflix movie, would people still be interested in the story as much as they are now?
That's
and
right.
would they be given this opportunity?
Yeah.
So big flowers.
That's right. I don't think we would have seen that press conference at all without Monsters, right, at the end of the day. So I think they should be thanking him. Hopefully this works out for everyone. All right. Kelly Hyman, Robin, thank you so much. Robin Nunn, thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate it, you guys. Folks, stick around, though, because please, coming up next, we're going to review the 3 things that we've learned today in the cases we've been covering from coast to coast right here on Court TV.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. But don't worry, we've got a lot more than that going for us. Woo! Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have flip phones like the Iris Flip. If you're someone that doesn't need all that mumbo-jumbo and just wants something simple. And now, we even have watches.
We do.
No matter what device you choose, you'll be happy to know that if your data needs change,
No problem.
with our SmartFlex feature, you don't have to sweat it. Like say you're on a road trip out west and end up using a bunch of data. We can simply flex you up to the next data tier for as little as $5. Then, when you get home, you can flex right back down with no penalty. So you only pay for what you actually need.
With Consumer Cellular, you get the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost.
I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Will our award-winning customer service help me switch over or add a line for $15 to make my own family plan?
Of course they will.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
You see that tower out there? It's a beauty. And there are thousands more like it, working hard for me and you, supplying 5G coverage to this beautiful nation of ours. We know how important coverage is. That's why we offer a risk-free guarantee. If you're not satisfied within 30 days of activation, you can pay nothing. Oh, look.
New customers save $50 when you sign up today. Call 1-800-918-5644. Find us in Target or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
You'll find them in cities, towns, and suburbs all across America. Millions of Americans who have Medicare and Medicaid but may be missing benefits they could really use. Extra benefits they may be eligible to receive at no extra cost. And if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be able to get extra benefits too through a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan. Call now to see if you qualify. With the Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan, you could have doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage in one convenient plan. Plus, most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance to help pay for essentials like eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and more. Your allowance is conveniently loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend gets carried over to the next month. Plus, you could get other important benefits. Most plans include dental coverage with $0 copays for covered preventive services, vision coverage, including eye exams and a yearly allowance for eyewear, even hearing benefits with routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. And you could pay nothing for covered prescriptions all year long. You'll also get $0 copays for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. And you'll have access to Humana's multiple large plan networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. Best of all, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan right now. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call now to see if there's a plan in your area that could give you extra benefits. A knowledgeable licensed Humana sales agent will explain your coverage options, even help you enroll over the phone. It's that easy. Call today and we'll also send this free guide. But now is the time. The annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Humana, a more human way to health care.
Welcome back. Here are three things that we've learned on this Friday. First, William Ackerman took the stand in his own defense today in the jealous husband murder trial. He's accused of running over and killing Kenneth Davis McClendon, who was dating his estranged wife. On the stand today, Ackerman discussed what happened the day McClendon died. He said he didn't intend to run over the victim and that he lost control of his vehicle. Second, the family of late rapper Tupac Shakur has hired high-profile attorney Alex Spiro to investigate a potential link between Sean Diddy Combs and the murder of Tupac. Now, Combs is currently in jail after being indicted on federal charges of sex and human trafficking. He also faces multiple lawsuits for sexual assault and sexual exploitation. Combs has long denied any involvement in Shakur's murder, and in a statement to People magazine, a spokesperson for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said that Combs has never been considered a suspect. And third, Karen Reed wants to delay her wrongful death suit until after her new murder trial. The lawsuit filed last month blames the death of John O'Keefe on Reed and also on what it describes as negligence by bars that continue to serve drinks to her despite signs that she was drunk. Her 2-month trial ended in July when a judge declared a mistrial, and a second trial is scheduled for January 27th. All right, I'm Michael Ayala. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for being with me. Coming up next on 48 Hours, a woman vanishes from her home near Phoenix in March of 2010. Her boyfriend said she moved to Denver to take a new job, but detectives later discovered he was a con man who may have killed her. Then ahead at 8 p.m. Eastern, tune into Closing Arguments. Vinnie Politan takes a deeper look into the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur and if embattled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs might have been involved. Keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.